Rachel and Kirsty were inside a large room filled with computers and complicated panels. Everything was still and quiet. Three fairies were sitting gloomily in the middle of the room. They looked up when they saw Rachel and Kirsty. "This is Ola the inventor fairy, Annie the detective fairy, and Elsie the engineer fairy," said Aisha. "We are so happy you have come," said Annie, fluttering forward. "You are our only hope." "We are so glad to meet you all," said Kirsty. "Let me show you what happened this morning," said Ola. "I have invented a seeing screen so you can see for yourself." She tapped a nearby desk and a large screen rose up. It showed a picture of Mission Control, but it looked very different. The four fairies were flitting between panels and levers, computer screens and glowing buttons. "This morning we were so busy that we did not notice when someone came into our lab," said Aisha, pointing to a door that was opening behind the fairies. "We get lots of visitors and they are always welcome, so we did not even turn around until it was too late." A long thin nose poked through the door, followed by a sharp chin and spiky hair. "Jack Frost," said Rachel. "Uh-oh." The Ice Lord crept in, with four sniggering goblins behind him. He slipped through a doorway on the other side of the lab. "That's the way to the Discovery Library," said Aisha. Inside, the turf walls were lined with books. Jack Frost stood in the middle of the library and looked around, curling his lips. "Find those books," he hissed. "Now!" The goblins scampered around the library, pulling books down and scattering them over the floor. Then Jack Frost pointed at four colorful books that were standing alone on the highest shelf. "Mine," he whispered. The goblins clambered up the shelves, as if they were climbing a ladder. Squawking with victory, they each took one of the books and scrambled down. "Ha ha!" Jack Frost shouted. Just then the four Discovery fairies appeared in the doorway of the library. The goblins ran to hide behind Jack Frost. "Why have you made such a mess in our beautiful library?" Aisha asked. Four goblins' arms stuck out behind Jack Frost, each one holding a book. "You cannot take those," said Aisha. "Those are very special, and they belong to us. They must stay here at Mission Control, or discoveries everywhere will be stopped and go wrong." "Who cares?" yelled Jack Frost. "I am going to make all the discoveries by myself. I will be famous. No one except me will discover anything or invent anything again." There was a flash of blue lightning and a crash of thunder. Jack Frost and the goblins had completely disappeared. Rachel and Kirsty turned to look at the Discovery fairies. "Without our magical notebooks, we cannot keep astronauts safe, help inventors, inspire detectives, or guide engineers," and said Aisha. "Look what's happening to the International Space Station right now." She tapped another screen with a wand and the space station appeared. "Something's wrong with it," said Rachel at once. The space station lights were flickering. "The power is failing," said Aisha. "I can fix the station in the twinkling of an eye, but only if I have my magical notebook." "Then we must find it," said Kirsty. "Where shall we start looking?" "Jack Frost's castle," Rachel suggested, but Annie shook her head. "I trapped the goblin with a special detective spell," she said. "Jack Frost used his magic to build a spaceship. He sent 3 goblins into space. He probably thought space was one place we'd never look for them, said Elsie. Then he was wrong, said Rachel. She and Trusty nodded at each other. Then they turned to look out through the glass walls of the dome. The silver rocket was still standing on the launch pad. We have a mission, Trusty said. We are going to get Aisha's magical silver notebook back and save the astronauts. Rachel, Trusty, and Aisha flew down to the silver rocket and climbed inside. Fasten your seatbelt, said Aisha. We are going to have to go fast if we are going to catch the goblins. Up in mission control, the other Discovery ferries waved to them, and Elsie spoke into a microphone. 3, 2, 1, blast off. The engine roared, and then a blast of fairy dust sent the rocket shooting into the sky. Magical sparkles surrounded them. We have never flown as fast as this, said Rachel. Outside the window, the blue sky grew dark. At the same time, Rachel and Trusty felt themselves float upwards. Their hair fanned out around them. Are we still in fairyland? Asked Trusty, gazing at the stars outside the window. Below them, Earth was shining blue and green. Now we are back in the human world, said Aisha, smiling. Welcome to outer space.